Not going to be a usual press conference, so get ready for it. I'm Ralph Nader, independent candidate for president. We're running third in the presidential race. Every poll since 2000 has registered a majority of the people wanting Ralph Nader on the presidential debates, but the debate commission is a company controlled by the two parties, and they don't want anyone else on the stage. I say this because it's the only way to reach tens of millions of people, and they own the keys to the gate, the two parties. Once you're not on the presidential debates, the national TV doesn't cover you. Although we have now been campaigning in 50 states to good local coverage. And when this campaign is over, it's going to be an interesting journalistic debate as why the national networks don't think Nader Gonzalez's campaign is newsworthy enough, but the local media does. Florida is in very serious shape. The people of Florida have been reduced to the status of political serfs, both from Washington and Tallahassee. Democracy is deteriorating rapidly in this country, faster than the corporate-dominated economy is deteriorating for tens of millions of workers, pensioners, consumers, and taxpayers who seem to be assigned the result of corporate greed and reckless investment. The Nader Gonzalez campaign draws a bright line between McCain and Obama in the following areas. We believe in a full Medicare insurance for everybody with free choice of doctor and hospital. McCain and Obama do not. We believe in a living wage for 1 out of every 3 full-time American workers who are earning Walmart wages, 7, 8, 9, 10, under $11 per hour before deductions. Obama and McCain do not. We believe in reducing the bloated, wasteful military budget and ending taxpayer subsidies for big corporations and put that money back into public works, repairing America at the local level, bridges, highways, public transit, drinking water systems, schools, clinics. Obama and McCain do not. They want a larger military budget, even though it already consumes 1/2 of the federal government's operating expenditures. I even have this reduced to poetry in terms of the taxation. It's amazing that these issues are not debated, because I can guarantee you 80 to 90% of the American people would support this kind of tax system. Tax what you burn, not what you earn. Tax what you bet, not what you net. That's why we should tax pollution, we should tax speculation, before we tax human labor. That's going to be a major issue in 2009 as we come out of this presidential campaign. I remember coming to Jacksonville some years ago when there was another insane proposal, and I use that term clinically, to build 6 giant nuclear plants offshore in Jacksonville, in the water. Fortunately, that massive boondoggle was scrapped after scientists showed them what would happen to these nuclear plants in a major hurricane, for example. Offshore drilling. Again, look how Congress rendered its offshore drilling decision, almost in a stampede. I mean, when Congress and George W. Bush, including Democrats in Congress, reversed a decision signed into law regarding the marine environment, signed into law by Ronald Reagan 27 years ago, that shows you how extreme and radical and anti-environmental politics has become in Washington, D.C. There won't be a drop of oil coming from the new offshore drilling law for another 10 years at the least. It will not reduce oil prices. It will further expand around the Floridian coast the daily seepage, if not major catastrophes, with these oil rigs buffeted by powerful hurricanes. But on the central issue of who is going to run this country, is it going to be the people of this country, as reflected in the Constitution, we the people, the preamble, or is it going to be giant corporations controlling Washington, controlling Tallahassee, and having no allegiance to our country other than to control it or ship its jobs and industries to fascist and corporate dictatorships overseas who know how to keep their workers in their place. Over the years, the message to the American people is only one of us can win, Republican, Democrat, so don't throw your vote away. Well, what I say is Obama is going to landslide McCain on November 4th, so why should you throw your vote away piling up a landslide, which means nothing, instead of voting for Nader Gonzalez, which will strengthen our efforts and the citizen groups in Washington representing you to increase the power of the watchdogs and the hammer over those two parties and the U.S. government that they have sold off to big business. And I've been up against overwhelming odds before. I started as a 31-year-old lawyer, hitchhiked to Washington, and a driver picked me up in Delaware. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to Washington to get federal safety regulation of General Motors." He rolled his eyes, and I thought he was going to leave me off on the side of the road. But that's what happened. Stay tuned.